My name is Henry, and I wanted to share the story of my life and the struggles that I've had. I grew up as an only child, and my parents were amazing. They were quite wealthy, and I lived a very happy and comfortable life. That is until they were driving home after work one night. They both worked in the same office building, and so they carpooled to work. And unfortunately, there was a terrible storm, and they lost control of the car and got into a terrible accident and died. I was only 8 at the time, and I barely understood what was going on, but I knew that my world would never be the same. The day after the funeral, my father's brother came and told me that I would be moving in with him and his family. I was so shell-shocked that I didn't even question it and just went with him. When we got to his home, he showed me to my room, which was in the basement. Again, I didn't question anything, but then he left me down there. Eventually, I got hungry and went upstairs to find something to eat, and when I did, I was scolded. What are you doing up here? I'm hungry. I came up to see if could have something to eat. Seriously? Fine, here, take this apple and go back downstairs. I'll let you know when you can come up. I hadn't eaten in several hours and all he could give me was an apple? I didn't question it though, as I was still very upset, and so I took the meager snack and went downstairs. But after an hour, I was hungry again, and so I tried to sneak upstairs again as quietly as I could, only to find the door to the basement locked from the other side. As I tried to open it, I panicked. My uncle had locked me in the basement. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my aunt calling down that it was time for breakfast. I was so hungry that I forgot that they had locked me down there and ran upstairs and joined them in the kitchen. At the table were my aunt and uncle and my cousin Terry. There was bacon, eggs, sausage, toast, fruit salad, and pancakes all piled high on plates. I couldn't wait to dig in, but then my aunt looked at me sternly and told me to sit down.
Don't get any funny ideas. You are allowed to have 2 pieces of toast and a single piece of bacon. That's it.
But I'm so hungry. Could I please have more? You want more? Then get a job and buy yourself more. We aren't giving you more than you deserve. My cousin didn't say anything and just laughed at me while shoving food in his mouth. I really didn't understand why they were treating me like this. After all, my parents had just passed away, and we were family. It confused me, but that routine became the new normal for me. Every meal, my aunt and uncle would give me only the barest amounts of food, and when I wasn't in school, they would confine me to the basement. After a week of barely eating enough, I decided to get a part-time job at a grocery store. It wasn't a lot of money, but it allowed me to buy enough food so that I was no longer starving. The owner was a kind older man that spent his breaks drawing in a journal. One day, I asked if I could see it, and he handed it over to me. My eyes nearly popped out of my head when I saw how amazing an artist he was, and I asked him if he could show me how he drew so well. He agreed, and so we began spending our breaks together drawing. At first, I wasn't very good, but the more I practiced, the better I got until my drawings were as beautiful as my boss's. When I was forced to stay in the basement at home, I spent most of my time either studying or drawing or painting. I did my best to keep my artwork hidden, as I didn't know what my aunt and uncle would do if they found them. One day, though, I came home tired from work to find all my artwork in a pile on the kitchen table. What is this garbage? Where did you get all of that? That's my private artwork.
I found it in the basement. My father says that I get to burn it all.
Wait, what did you say?
Yes, we promised him that he could have the honor of destroying it. It's a waste of time to make such things. Now go to your room.
Sad and angry, I ran downstairs and cried myself to sleep. In the morning, I looked outside and saw a pile of ashes on the patio and knew that my cousin had destroyed all my hard work. Sadly, it went on like that for many years until I turned 18. On my birthday, my aunt and uncle called me upstairs. I knew that it wouldn't be good news, but I had no idea just how bad it would be. Now that you're 18, you're an adult, and we don't have to support you anymore. We'll let you pack your clothes and a few belongings, but then you need to leave. Wait, what? You're kicking me out? But where will I go? I have no money to find a place to live.
That really isn't our problem. Now hurry up. Terry wants to make the basement into his personal apartment.
And just like that, I was homeless and living on the street. I did have a little bit of money from working at the grocery store, but I knew that that wouldn't last long. Desperate, I went to my boss and asked him for advice. Your aunt and uncle did what? They kicked me out. Do you know of any place where I can stay? I could tell that he was disgusted by my aunts and uncle's actions, and he offered for me to stay in the apartment above the store. He even told me that so long as I stayed in school, that I could stay there rent-free as well. I was so grateful that I, of course, took him up on the offer. Since I lived so close to work, I began to pick up more shifts as well, which allowed me to do more with my money, and under the advice of my boss. I took some college art courses, and was able to put some of my paintings in a local gallery. To my surprise, they were only there for a couple days when they sold quickly. And if that wasn't good enough, people began asking for more of my work. When I wasn't working in the grocery store, I spent all my time painting or drawing, and I couldn't keep up. People began coming from other cities to buy my artwork, and before long I was making a lot of money. My artwork was featured in the local papers and on the news, and before long I was forced to quit my job at the grocery store in order to keep up with the demand for my art. My former boss completely understood and wished me luck as I moved out of the apartment and used some of the money that I had made as a down payment for a house. Not long after I moved in, though, I received a letter in the mail saying that I owed a credit card company over $30,000 and that if I didn't pay immediately, that they would seize my house. Confused, I contacted a lawyer, and he was able to prove that I hadn't signed up for the card, nor had I ever used it. However, that didn't stop the company from harassing me and trying to get money from me. I was so annoyed that I hired a private investigator to find out who had opened the card in my name and who had spent all that money. He tracked the card all the way back to my uncle. Apparently, my cousin Terry had developed a gambling problem, and my aunt and uncle had to use up all their money to cover his debts, and were beginning to get desperate. In the end, they opened several credit cards in my name and forged my signature on them. I immediately contacted the police and told them what my aunt and uncle had done and pressed charges against them. There was no way that I was going to let them get away with ruining my life on account of their terrible son. On top of that, I also sued them for ruining my credit score and for impersonating me. A month later, a judge awarded me over $40,000 in compensation, which forced my aunt and uncle to sell their house in order to not only pay me, but also to pay off a portion of the debt that their son's gambling had caused. The bad news didn't end there for them, though. The police had finished their investigation and found that not only did my aunt and uncle commit fraud, but my cousin did as well, and all three of them would be going away for a long time to prison. My uncle even had the audacity to call me up and beg me to drop the charges. Hey Henry, listen. I know that we've had our differences, but the police say that if you drop the charges, that we will still have to pay back the money, but that we won't have to go to prison. So please just call them up and let them know that this was all just a big misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding. You stole money and then tried to put me on the hook for bailing you out. You've made this choice, and now you'll have to deal with it. But Henry, I raised you. We're family. Can't you see fit to helping us out? We're not family. You treated me like garbage and then kicked me out as soon as you could. I wouldn't help you if you were the last person on earth. For that matter, why were you always so mean to me when we're supposedly family? You're just like your father, you selfish loser. And the reason we hate you is because you aren't really family. Your father was adopted, and that makes you literally nothing to me. Well, at least I know now why the three of you were such jerks. Well, I hope that your stay in prison is as unpleasant as the way that you treated me. That's when I hung up the phone and breathed a sigh of relief. Part of me wanted to feel bad, but then I remembered how they had locked me up in their basement for so many years, and I instantly felt no regret for pressing charges against them. In the end, though, my art career only prospered more and more, and I've been able to not only find myself someone I love, but we are expecting a child as well. Life hasn't always been easy for me, but I'm finally in a place where I'm excited to see what the future has in store for me and my family. Thanks for watching. Please like the video so it can be recommended to others to watch.